Hello, thank you for joining me. So this is our second video in our series, How to Get Started in AutoCAD. AutoCAD. Sorry about that, SolidWorks. How to Get Started in SolidWorks. And what we're going to be doing with this video is kind of get started with the basics and drawing a very basic block model. What we're going to be drawing is going to be called the box, or box 1, I think is probably what we'll call it as a title. So let's do this. We already have our template file open. It is going to be typical. Every time you open up a template file, you're going to immediately turn around and name it to the file of your choice, because it's very easy just to start modeling on your template file and do all sorts of stuff, and then you save it, and all of a sudden you realize you've overwritten your template file and you got something else in there. You have to rename and copy and do other stuff in order to manage that. So kind of belabored that a little bit, but let's go ahead and do this. This is going to be a typical procedure. We're going to go to Save As from our template file. Let's go back to our class folder, go to week 1, and we're just going to call this box 1. Now, we could add a description down here, and it'll become clear when we put our drawings together in our lesson number 3 out of the book. But let's get in the habit of doing this. Every time we save a part, let's go ahead and put a description in there, because that description will get imported. Part of the parametric capabilities of SolidWorks will get imported into our drawing file. So let's call this the box, and make sure that everything that goes into your drawing is capitalized. So that means this gets capitalized too. So the box, we'll call that, and go to save. Okay, let's start with the feature manager tree and talk about the feature manager tree a little bit. Right now we have box 1 as our file name. It's at the very top of the feature manager tree, the most general information that starts up there. And from the feature manager tree, it's kind of like it's set up in a folder format where you have folders and then subfolders and so on and so forth as you go down. So the first folder is sensors. There's nothing in our sensor folder. It's something that is beyond the scope of this class, but you'd use it in applications like with simulation and other things. Moving down, we have an annotations folder. We have unassigned items in here. We actually have no annotations because we really don't have any parts or any features to our part yet. But an annotation would be things like dimensions and notes that you might want to attach to a part as you're putting it together to help describe that part. Eventually these annotations will be imported into drawings. So we'll go over that a little bit later in another video. And then below that is our material. We don't have material specified, so let's specify that. If you right click on that, go to Edit Material. Let's just pick something. Maybe not steel, but let's perhaps aluminum alloy, maybe a 1060 alloy, or how about 2014 alloy, just for the fun of it. And go to Apply, and go to Close. And now you notice that that's part of our feature manager tree. And as we put our model together, the appearance renderings that are generated when we put the part together will actually change the appearance of our part. It will actually look in a way kind of like aluminum. But more importantly, if we were to render an image of that part, it actually would pick up that appearance qualities of that specific aluminum alloy. Okay, let's get to the meat of the matter here, and that is our 3 primary planes that we can draw from. In order to draw anything in SolidWorks, in order to model anything in SolidWorks, you have to start with a sketch typically. And a sketch needs to be drawn on a plane. So SolidWorks gives you 3 primary planes: your front plane, your top plane, and your right plane. And the intersection of all 3 of those planes is the origin. So let's do this. Let's take, and just for demonstration I'm going to do this, but let's show those planes to show you what they look like. They're kind of truncated short. I mean, planes imply that they go on forever in one direction or another, but they come up a little bit short here. And you can stretch these out by taking these grips and moving those around if you wanted to do so. It's a little bit beyond the scope of what we're going to try to accomplish here, and that will probably be covered in a little bit more detail in later films. But because one of the reasons why I want to show you these planes here is to show you that they actually exist here, and we can draw on them and sketch on them in order to produce a 3D model. But to show you your test question here, which is, how is the origin defined? Because the origin is a point here, and that point is defined by these 3 primary planes. So the origin is the intersection of these primary planes. In a way, it's kind of like the center of the SolidWorks universe. But it is a tool that we could use in a way some sort of a sketching tool in a way that we could use in order to make sure our part is in the middle of that if we want to do that in order to maintain symmetry. And that'll become clear as we do more videos and do more practice in class. But right now our planes show, but our origin doesn't. So as we right-clicked in these things, we're able to get the glasses visual icon here to turn it on and off. We can hide it or unhide it. But there's another level of view capabilities that you need to be aware of. If you go to the view on the menu bar, you go to the view tab up here and go down here, you want to make sure that origins is on. All you have to do is click on that and it turns on the origins. Now our origin becomes visible. It isn't always on. It does come on when you're doing sketching, so it isn't always on in the part, but sometimes it's helpful to have that on. But for now we're just going to stick with our temporary settings. So let's go to origins and turn that off. We're going to stick with our default settings here, and we're going to turn off our planes for now. And in the next film we're going to go ahead and get started on our modeling.